So Thomas, hi. It's so nice to talk to you. My name's
Good to
Cassie.
see you.
Big fan.
Thank you.
So I watched this movie last night and I really, really enjoyed it. I loved it so much. And one
Oh,
thing that
thank you.
really stuck out to me was how just like authentically Texan you seem. You seem
Huh.
like you've been a cowboy like your whole life. And I did some Google research, and you're from California, right? So like,
Well, I was in
for
California for 2 years.
okay,
Yeah, we moved to Texas when I was two.
you did. Okay, I was
Yeah,
gonna ask, where did you
yeah,
draw that from? So that explains
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, I was born in Central California, outside of Sacramento, in a town called Woodland, California.
Okay.
But my parents split up when I was two, and my mother's parents lived in Fort Worth, so we moved, and then almost immediately moved to El Paso, and where we lived for a number of years. Then we went back to Fort Worth, and I have lived full time or part time really for the rest of my life. I mean, all the way until today. But I have lived in Texas exclusively for 23 years. I
What
mean,
is it about Texas that is so special to you? I've only been there
well,
once, so.
yeah, I mean, I grew up here my whole
Mhm.
life, and I just love it. I
Mhm.
mean, everything that I wanted to be, which was a Texas cattle rancher from a very young age. We would hunt in Central Texas on ranches that were owned by my dad's friends and from the military. And soon as I was out on a ranch at 9 years old, I knew that's exactly where I wanted to be. And so I everything I dedicated myself to, no matter what industry I got into, I was like, someday I want to have a ranch, I want to have cattle, I want to be a rancher. And that's what I am and have been for 25 years.
So you are very
So
much like the Erwin character. You're like, I want to be an actor, but I kind of like this too, huh?
yeah, I mean, the acting came along or very organically also. Even when I was really young, I would see performances in films, not as much television. It was usually movies for me,
Hmm.
because my dad and my mom really loved going to the movies. And so, I was like, of course, it seemed like a dream that was unattainable.
Hmm.
But then whenever I got into high school, I kind of dabbled with it. And then when I went to college, I really started sort of like, oh, wow, I want to be a screenwriter. I want to be a filmmaker. Maybe I want to act. I don't know.
Hmm.
But then I started doing voiceovers in Dallas, and I started getting agents, and then I all my friends were actors, and I got an acting job, and then I moved to LA, and then I was in LA for 12 years. So
And the rest is history. Long story short.
the rest has been written. The rest has
Yeah.
been written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things about this film is watching your characters and Rudy's characters, their relationship sort of evolve in a very sweet way. Did that happen sort of organically as you were on set, or was there like a getting to know you process like before filming started, or how did that work?
Yeah, we as soon as we found when we landed on Rudy to be the guy, Rudy and I started having some long phone calls. And then when he got to Texas, we started rehearsing a lot, but we just spent time together. The movie is set actually in sort of like near West Texas, outside of Abilene. But we shot because of production necessity. We shot around Austin. We shot in small towns outside of Austin, but it's still the country and small towns. And Rudy and I would just go driving together and get to know each other and talk. And, which that's a big part of what Merle and Erwin do
Hmm.
is drive and talk. So, but no, no, it was very organic. Rudy is a fun, smart, very imaginative guy. and you know, it just was like, in fact, I said to another journalist, a 25-year-old me could have really been good friends with a 25-year-old Rudy.
Mhm.
You know, it's like he's that, you know, we have personalities that you know, that whatever, we just have a shared enthusiasm and appreciation for things.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, also very cool that Carrie Ann Moss was in this. I don't know how well you know her, but I mean, icon in her own right. Like, what is it
Right.
like working with her?
Oh, she was wonderful. She
Yeah.
was delightful and very, she's uh she's a very she's a maternal person, and I think that really comes across in her relationship with Erwin.
Hmm.
You know, but she's also, you know, she is Merle's love interest. It's pretty, we keep it pretty subtle in the movie,
Hmm.
but she is that person who is, she's very much an anchor for Merle. And Carrie Ann is that way. You
Hmm.
know, she's very grounded. She's just, you know, when she comes to set, she and especially playing Faye, she doesn't wear very much makeup. She wanted her wardrobe, you know, to be, you know, just what that woman would wear.
Hmm.
You know, she didn't want to be, you know, like a really flattering outfits every day. She
Hmm.
wanted to look like a woman who, you know, worked and owned a diner,
Hmm.
and you know, or eventually owns the diner. But you know, just a wonderful person, and lives in like remote Vermont, I think. It's either Vermont or New Hampshire.
Okay.
You know, just lives out in the country with her husband and her kids,
Hmm.
and you really get a sense of, you know, she's not about New York City, LA. You know, she has the life she wants.
Yeah, very, very authentic. And you're right, it did come through. So you've worked with so many amazing people over the years. Do you have like a dream co-star that you haven't worked with that you really want to?
A dream co-star.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there have been opportunities. Unfortunately, sometimes the projects, they just didn't work at the time. Um, I really wanted to work with Robin Williams.
Hmm.
I did get offered a project. It just wasn't, it wasn't the right fit at the right time. And unfortunately, he passed away, and so that's gone forever. And I really very remorseful about that. And then I got offered a thing one time with Meryl Streep, who I would love to work with, who wouldn't,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't there wasn't much to the part. It really was like two scenes, but he wasn't a good guy. He kind of like took advantage of her in a very unsavory way. And I just didn't want that to be my introduction to working with Meryl Streep,
Sure.
to play this guy that's not a good guy. And but I mean, there's a million, you know, there's 1,000 others. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, some of these young actors, you know, that are, I'm just so intrigued by, you know, Timothy Chalamet and Lucas Hedges, and you know, there's so many, you know, that I think are wonderfully gifted. And but I have been fortunate enough to work with some amazing,
Yeah.
you know, I've worked with Emma Stone, I've worked with Bradley Cooper, you know, I've worked with Shia LaBeouf, I've worked with a lot of like really terrific younger, well, Bradley younger,
Hmm.
you know, I know he's getting close to 50, but he's still a lot younger than me. But but yeah, there's, you know, there's so many. I mean, you know, and I really am so fond of, you know, Emma's achievements, because I really was there at the very beginning on Easy A. You know, she was just had just started just getting good roles.
Yeah.
And in fact, Easy A was her first lead.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to kind of be there at the very beginning.
Yeah. Awesome. So I only have like a minute left, but I have to bring this up because it's so close and personal
And
to
Elliot
me.
Page. And
Yes.
Elliot Page.
Oh, Elliot Page. Yes.
Yeah.
Another great.
I was fortunate to work with them uh,
Hmm.
at the very dawn of their career. his
Awesome.
career.
Yes. Okay. So you are so recognizable from so many things, and I am wondering how many people bring up Ned and Stacy to you? Do they bring that up ever to you? Is that a deep cut or that, because when I see you, that's what I think of.
When someone brings up Ned and Stacy, they're immediately a friend.
Oh, yes.
They're immediately a friend.
Oh my gosh.
Young or young, old, middle, my age, what, I'm old, but young. Whenever somebody that is younger,
Hmm.
and obviously you are, but they've seen it somehow, like
Hmm.
streaming or whatever,
Yeah.
they're immediately like in my heart, in a chamber of my heart.
I mean, I
Because,
remember watching it with my mom. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Ned and Stacey, I was so involved because, first of all, and I know you've only got a minute, but I'll be quick.
Okay.
I mean, I left a very popular show,
Mhm.
and when a show called Wings, and I left that show because I didn't want to get, nobody, you just don't, you don't want to be in a box. And I told my agents, I said, find me something that is as far away from an airport mechanic as you can get. And they're like, what about a New York advertising executive
Yeah.
who is a devout bachelor, but takes on, this sort of like whatever mail order bride? And I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
And,
That's it.
and
Yeah.
you know what? It's one of my favorite performances. I love Ned. And I wish that we could have carried on, but
Hmm.
the network saw otherwise. And before we could even really shop it around, it was like everybody was thrown to the four winds.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know. But obviously Deborah, great success. Michael
Yeah.
Whitehorn, yeah, great success. Greg, not I think Nadia, had a nice career. So everybody went on and succeeded. After Ned and Stacy.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm glad I remembered to bring that up then. It was so nice talking to you. It was so awesome meeting you, and I really
Oh,
loved.
thanks, Cassie. It really, yeah. Ned and
Yeah.
Stacy, thank
Yes.
you. It's a
It's time
highlight.
for a
That's a
rewatch. Yeah.
highlight for the day.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, Thomas. This was so
You're
lovely.
welcome.
Thank you.